I'm Trish with today's QOTD Question of the Day, and this one is for all you movie buffs. We asked fans to tell us about an emotional movie scene that gets you every time. We've got a few fan answers coming up in a second, and we want you to join the fun. So record your very own answer and join us in the show.
As fans record their answers, we add them to our all-day show, and you can also check out our QOTD playlist to see all of our best answers so far.
You can vote for your favorites, and remember, the ones that get the most votes can make it to the Thursday Big Show and become our weekly champion.
Our first fan answer is coming from Carlos, and this is a pretty playful one.
The final scene in Toy Story 3 when Andy says goodbye to the toys, that scene gets me every time.
So the reason that I chose Carlos's answer is because emotional movie scenes are really a universal experience, right? And this experience starts at a pretty young age, from animated films and Disney movies. They evoke these strong emotions and we remember them, and then it just grows, and as our emotions mature, we start watching more mature films, and it's just something that we go through continually.
There are these universal experiences that obviously we all share, but there aren't that many things that we all share together, that we all remember, that are communal like that. But I totally agree with him. I think Toy Story 3 is for sure one of them. That whole series had a lot of moments.
So speaking of Pixar, I actually found another really amazing answer that is in the Pixar cinematic universe. This one is from London.
This one's pretty obvious. I mean, the scene in Up where the wife dies, I sobbed for a good 10 minutes the first time I saw it, and still to this day, I usually just skip over that part in the movie because it's too much for me.
So Keith, I know you mentioned this scene earlier. As a film nerd, I've seen many video essays talking about how brilliant the first scene, that first montage in Up is. I think it really speaks to the fact that it's like, if you want this sort of emotional scene that sticks with you, it takes everything. You have to have the perfect score, perfect pacing, perfect music, perfect cinematography, and it's just everything has to come together to really make that scene stick.
I never saw Up. I can only imagine, though.
So you haven't seen Up, you haven't seen Star Wars, you haven't seen Indiana Jones. What are you doing here on our show? For goodness sakes.
I'm just the comic relief, buddy.
My answer comes from Taylor, and she came up with a scene from a movie that is sort of fantastic in many ways, but the scene that she chose is one that's so relatable, and it just brings home the whole movie into everybody's heart.
So the scene in Forrest Gump at the very end, and he's sitting at the end of the driveway, and he's waiting for his kid to come back from school, and he sits on that bench all day long and waits for his son to get back from school. I cry every time. I could cry right now thinking about it.
I totally agree, Taylor, and I think that the reason why it works is that we're obviously not Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump is not in himself a relatable character, but the things that he goes through there, I mean, when we think about our kids and waiting for our kids, and then they go away and they take risks in the world and we're waiting for them to come back, it's as if we're waiting on the stoop all day long for them to come back. It's just an amazing way that he takes this unrelatable character and gives them this relatable emotion. It's so funny because the book that it's based on is so dark. It's exactly the opposite of the emotions in that movie. It's a very dark book, and yet the movie is very sort of light and airy until the very end, until that scene. And it just, it speaks to both, loss and hope at the same time. I'm with you, Taylor. I cried.
Yeah, it's a very powerful scene. I have a lot to say about Forrest Gump, but I'm actually going to save it for our own answers.
Oh, okay.
So it sounds like it's a movie that you actually saw, Trish.
Yeah, loved it.
But fans, if you have a movie scene that made you really emotional, be sure to record your answer using the links in the description, and make sure to do so before our Thursday Big Show. But now I think the time has come. It's the big moment. We're going to reveal our movie scene. So starting with you, Keith, what's your emotional movie scene?
Well, it comes up a lot when we're talking about movies, about my favorite movie, which is, of course, The Highlander, which is this sort of terrible movie, but it has these sort of amazing moments. And there's this scene where the Highlander, Christophe Lambert, and Sean Connery, who's his mentor, and they're learning how to become immortal, and they're running down the beach, and they're feeling the heart of the deer like pounding in their own chests. And for me, it speaks to like the joy of youth. One of the worst movies with one of the best scenes, The Highlander. It is the quickening.
Never saw The Highlander, but nor did anyone else. So I'm not alone in this one, I'm quite sure.
That's why they made 5 sequels, and 3 separate television series based on it. But you're right, nobody cares for that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I chose the same movie as Taylor, obviously, but a very different scene. The scene that kills me from Forrest Gump is when he's standing there and he's talking to his mother and she's in the grave. And he's just sort of telling her like all about how smart his son is and how everything's going. And then he just kind of breaks and he's like, I just miss you so much, Mama. And it's like, oh my God, it's so real. He's such a great actor and it's guttural.
I want to affirm and validate your emotions and then just say that scene just sucked. It was like the fakest scene. He's a terrible actor. I mean, in that movie,
I want to hear what the fans have to say about this. Please come on our community board on YouTube and you give us your opinion.
Oh, well, I feel like we've talked a lot about Pixar scenes today, and I'm just going to continue the train, but I'm going to choose one that's a little bit more recent. Inside Out, 2015. This one, it's like, I think it was a combination of the movie experience and the movie itself. The end of that movie, I think spoiler alert, click ahead if you don't want spoilers. There's a scene, of course, where one of the main characters, Bing Bong, doesn't make it. But there's a scene after that where a whole family comes together. The daughter has run away, but comes home and just opens up to her parents. And like, literally, I remember sobbing in the movie theater to this scene. It's the perfect ending to the movie. It encapsulates the message so completely and so well. And I saw it with friends too. We were like holding each other's hands and sobbing in the theater. Every time.
Did you cry at the end of the Barbie movie?
See, I didn't, but everyone else in the theater was. I literally looked around, everyone was crying.
It was very surprising to me that it had such an emotional ending. And particularly if you're a mother or a daughter, it'll get you.
The 2 movies Trisha's seen, Barbie and Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Well, fans, record your own answers using the links below. And be sure to subscribe, follow, or register so that you can get our new questions and announcements right into your daily feed.
Yes, thank you everyone who's watched, voted, and recorded so far. Remember, the top voted answers make it into our Thursday Big Show, so vote and record away.
And if you love QOTD as much as we do, we certainly appreciate your thanks. You can comment, share, like our channel, or if you really like what you're seeing, go ahead and click on the thanks button on YouTube. We totally appreciate it, and we'll give you a shout out on the air if you send us a thanks.
And remember, fans, to answer today's question, what movie scene makes you emotional every time?
And nobody said Casablanca. Oh my God, I cried and cried. Cried and cried.
They'll always be Paris.
Never seen it.